IAF partners with IIT Madras to build India's first indigenous secure airborne communication system, cutting dependence on foreign black boxes. As modern warfare shifts to data, will India's defense be imported or invented at home? And finally, PM's economic advisor Sanjeev Sanyal warns that losing your youth to exams is a massive risk in the AI era. As traditional degrees lag behind technology, the definition of success is shifting from stability to adaptability. So, are you chasing a secure past or a relevant future? Good evening. This is Front Page by AIM Network. Let us start with something painfully familiar. You open your laptop to do one simple thing. Let us say, book a flight. Suddenly, you have 5 tabs open. One for flights, one for hotels, one for emails, and one which is, well, a spreadsheet. And somehow, you're still not done. That small everyday frustration, that's the problem big tech is now racing to solve. Usually, when we talk about AI on this show, it is relevant, but maybe not personally for you. Trillions of parameters, giant data centers, slides that look very serious. But tonight is different. Tonight is about execution because Mark Zuckerberg just spent $3 billion to make AI stop talking and finally start doing. The company is called Manus. You probably haven't heard of them because they didn't exist 2 years ago. And Meta just bought them in a deal that came together in 10 days. 10 days. Yeah. That's less time than most of us take to pick a phone case, or for that matter, take to commit to a Netflix series. So why the rush? Why did Meta drop everything for this one team? Because they realized something very crucial. The chatbot era is over. We all played and interacted with ChatGPT. It's impressive, it writes poems, summarizes emails, and whatnot. But let's be honest, it's lazy, it talks, it doesn't do. It won't open your calendar, it won't click the buttons, it won't finish the job. Manus has been built the opposite. They didn't build a poet, no, they built someone who actually finishes the task, a digital intern. And a relentless one. No coffee breaks, no sick leave, and most importantly, no will revert, sir. While everyone else was trying to make AI sound human, Manus was teaching AI to use a computer like a human. Their engine works on a very simple principle, which is don't tell me what to write, tell me what to do. Research this stock, book this hotel, code this website. And then it just, well, goes and does it. It navigates the web, clicks links, fills forms. It's the difference between asking for a recipe and having a gourmet chef cook you your meal. And the numbers, well, they explain why Meta moved so fast. In just 8 months, yes, 8 months, Manus reportedly crossed $100 million in annual recurring revenue. 8 months. At this point, if you're feeling a bit of an echo in the studio, you're not wrong. And neither is that number, 8 months. They processed 147 trillion tokens, spun up 80 plus million virtual computers, and outperformed even Meta's own internal benchmarks. That, ladies and gentlemen, right there is what is the definition of traction. Manus was built by hardcore engineers from the Beijing tech scene. And we all know how complicated that can get. Washington wasn't going to approve this deal. Beijing wasn't going to allow it. So the founders did something bold and outlandish. They packed up, moved headquarters to Singapore, cut operational ties, rebuilt the company to work and align with the West. The moment they landed, Meta was waiting, check in hand. Because Meta doesn't own abstract platforms. Meta owns WhatsApp, Instagram, Messenger. And right now, those apps are only for talking. So let us imagine a future where they become apps for living. You open WhatsApp and type, plan a weekend trip to Paris for me and my partner under $2,000. Book everything. And then you just put your phone away. No Expedia, no switching apps, no spreadsheets. And then voila, 2 days later, you walk out of the airport smiling, looking for the Eiffel Tower, with the only thing then, well, left for you to figure out is the French. Best of luck. That's the $1 trillion dream. WhatsApp as the remote control for your life. Honestly, this sounds amazing, but let's take a beat and be realistic as well. Stuffing this very powerful engineering tool into WhatsApp, that's hard. If they get it wrong, this becomes Clippy 2.0, annoying, intrusive, and very quickly muted. But if they get it right, we stop being users. We become managers. We don't click anymore. We delegate. And Zuckerberg has realized very quickly and is not betting on another chatbot. He is chasing and betting on the fact that execution beats conversation. That the future of AI isn't who sounds smartest, but who quietly gets things done. The tech is already here. Meta just bought it. Now comes the only part that truly matters. Can they ship it? This is Front Page by AIM Network. Please like, share, and subscribe till, well, Manas starts to do it for you. Think AI, think AIM. I had to see that. I wish my eyes were bleeding. They actually are. Oh no, the trauma. The trauma of me having to see that, and I'm so sorry. I apologize. So did you guys. But anyway, we definitely need to talk about something we've all believed in for far too long. And that is finally, it is all wrong. Which is, it's the line every creator repeats to survive the grind. And that line is, content is king. We say, quality always wins. We believe that if you hire the best writers, buy the best cameras, and tell the best stories, the audience will definitely follow. But tonight, very sadly, that entire narrative has died a very painful death at the hands of a monkey. Because while human creators are burning out, spending lakhs on production, and fighting for every single view, a cartoon monkey is doing remarkably well for itself. Yes, roughly 35 crore rupees a year. Well, yes, you heard that right. 35 crore. Yes. The channel is called Bandar Apna Dost. It is Indian, it is massive, and it is the face of a very terrifying new reality, which is a major study done by Capwing, analyzed 15,000 YouTube channels. And they found this specific channel sitting at the absolute top of the AI food chain. 2.4 billion views, 2.7 million subscribers, and a reported revenue of $4.25 million annually. Now, if this was a Pixar movie, we would all celebrate. If honestly this was a brilliant indie animator, we would give it a standing ovation. But it is neither. It is low effort, it is mass produced, it is unfortunately a monkey fighting monsters, lifting weights, saving people in bizarre repetitive loops. It is actually not storytelling at all. It is what the internet now calls AI slop, just algorithm fuel. So, well, let us look at what this mechanism is all about. Why? Because this is not just about one channel, this is unfortunately a framework. Bandar Apna Dost was created in 2020. Why? Well, for years, it sat silent, thankfully, a zombie channel, if you will. Then, in 2025, the monkey woke up. Uploads exploded because the creators realized they didn't need a studio. They needed a script that runs on a loop. They hacked human curiosity. They targeted what's called popularly as the lizard brain, which is bright colors, emotional music, constant movement. It triggers a dopamine hit and then it repeats. Capwing found 278 channels doing exactly this. Together, they have amassed 63 billion views. That is an industrial complex. And if That was not enough, disturbing enough, which is, well, here is the scandal. YouTube officially says this is not allowed. Their policy states repetitive low value AI content is not eligible for monetization. End quote. That is the rule on paper. But the reality, the market found a loophole, as it always does. The creators aren't just relying on AdSense. They use short bonuses, they sign brand deals, they join multi-channel networks. So while the platform talks about ethics, the algorithm is very busy rewarding the slop. Why? Because the algorithm doesn't care about art. It cares about retention. And nothing retains a bored brain quite like infinite mindless color. This logically brings us to the idea of war. And please make no mistake, it is a war. On the one side, you have the human creator. Humans are expensive. We need sleep. We get writer's block. We have ethics, or at least, well, most of us. On the other side, you have the infinite AI supply. It never sleeps. It never asks for a raise. It can produce 10,000 videos while you drink your morning coffee. We are, of course, seeing the backlash begin. Just to point out something very tragic, a genius like Vince Gilligan, the man behind Breaking Bad, his new show on Apple TV Plus carries a stamp. Yeah, a literal warning label that reads, "This show was made by humans." Let's think about how dystopian that is. We've reached a point in history where human made is a premium feature, like organic vegetables or hand woven fabric. We have to label our humanity just to prove we aren't robots. Coca-Cola is getting heat for AI ads. Users are demanding AI filters to clean up their feeds. But the floodgates are unfortunately open. So, trying to bring some method to this madness, here is the front page take. The internet is splitting in two. One internet is premium, it is behind paywalls, it is curated, it is human, thankfully. The other internet, it is a hyper optimized, free to access dopamine factory. And right now, that factory is run by, yes, you guessed it, a monkey earning 35 crore rupees. I just can't get over that. The platforms have a choice to make. Do they protect the human ecosystem or do they let the slop win? If history is any guide, they will follow the money. This is Front Page by AIM Network. Think AI? Definitely think AI. In 1999, during Kargil, Indian pilots flew some of the toughest missions imaginable. High altitude, hostile fire, limited intelligence. The biggest constraint wasn't bravery or capability, it was communication. Modern warfare has taught us this: control the network and you control the fight. Disrupt the links, and even the most advanced weapons go silent. Until now. The Indian Air Force and IIT Madras just shook hands on a deal that changes the game. They are building India's first truly indigenous airborne digital communication system. This is a declaration of independence for our skies. The deal was signed between the IAF Software Development Institute and IIT Madras, led by Air Vice Marshal R. Guruhari and Professor V. Kamakoti, the director of IIT Madras. The brains now connect seamlessly with the muscle. So if you watched Front Page just yesterday, you know the context. We pulled back the curtains on the details of the Adani defense investments. We spoke about the new national security design, which now leads us to the next chapter of that story. The IAF is saying we will not depend on foreign tech for our most critical missions, period. So then that begs the question, what are they actually building? Let us think of it as, well, the nervous system of modern war. In the olden days, dogfights were about speed. Today, it's about network-centric warfare. Jets talking to drones, drones talking to sensors, sensors talking to command centers, all in real time, all while moving at supersonic speeds. all while under cyber attack, mind you. Currently, most countries buy this technology, they import it, which means it comes with risks, hidden backdoors, kill switches, cyber vulnerabilities. But what this new partnership with Pravartak Technologies does is that it changes the math itself. They are building secure, encrypted, high speed networks designed in India, code written in India, and most crucially, controlled by India. It handles rapidly changing battlefield conditions. It withstands electronic warfare. It ensures that when an Indian pilot speaks, only the Indian side listens. This echoes Atmanirbhar Bharat in the most glorious of ways. It is basically the Air Force saying, our skies, our systems, our security. It is clearly the end of the black box era, where we don't know what was inside our own jets. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we own the code. This is also a very massive cultural evolution. Academia usually stays put in the labs. The military stays on the base. With this deal, that divisive wall has come crumbling down. IIT Madras brings the advanced encryption and research muscle. The IAF brings the mission reality. And in synergy, they are moving from theory to prototype to deployment. Faster deployment is real combat in environments, seamless integration with existing systems. And that seamlessly brings us to the front page take. Here it is. This is bigger than a technological partnership. This actually is infrastructure for national survival, because the bitter and painful truth about the wars of tomorrow is that combat will no longer be limited to missiles. It will rely heavily on data, encryption, and intelligence. And every time we replace a foreign chip with an Indian one, every time we replace imported code with indigenous logic, we step closer and closer to being a superpower that cannot be switched off by a foreign government. We, of course, will continue to track this leap and a lot more on Front Page. Of course, to all our viewers, needless to say, please tune in at 7 p.m. Monday through Friday for our live broadcast. Because what we all have realized today is one truth, which is the future of India will not be imported. Think AI, think defense, think AIM. Well, if you grew up in a middle class Indian home, you know the script: study hard, get a degree, crack the exam, and secure your life. For decades, UPSC wasn't just a career, it was the ultimate Indian insurance policy against uncertainty. But if you've been following us, which I'm sure you have been, you know that that policy is expiring. Remember when AIM tested ChatGPT on the UPSC prelims? Very quickly, let me go ahead and jog your memory. The initial reports, well, stem from an experiment which was conducted by us, which is the Analytics India magazine, where the AI model, GPT 3.5, was given the 100 questions from the 2022 UPSC prelims paper 1, set A. The result? ChatGPT correctly answered only 54 out of 100 questions. The outcome? This score was well below the general category cutoff, which was around 87.54 based on the 2021 cutoff, meaning the AI failed the exam. Then, of course, the model evolved and it cleared it later. Back then, it was a tech demonstration. But tonight's story is a reality check. And here it is. The Prime Minister's economic advisor, Sanjeev Sanyal, just said the quiet part out very loud. He looked at the lakhs of students sitting in tiny rooms in old Rajinder Nagar and Mukherjee Nagar, and he called it a waste of time. He didn't say civil service is bad. He didn't say the job is useless. He said the obsession is dangerous. Sanyal warns that spending 5 to 7 prime years of your youth just to chase safety in an era of AI is a strategy for a world that no longer exists. So let's just think about it. The failure rate is over 99%. We have created a generation of professional aspirants, smart kids, hard-working kids stuck in a loop of prelims, mains, and interviews, while the world outside is sprinting ahead. Sanyal argues that traditional degrees are too slow. By the time you print the textbook, the tech has already changed. He says, I wish I could have worked at 18, end quote. He believes real-world apprenticeship beats classroom theory every time. And he isn't alone. Microsoft India President Puneet Chandok just dropped a very similar bomb in Bengaluru. He said today's workforce is the last generation to have stable long-term careers, end quote. I guess that means the era of settling down is over. The era of adapting has begun maybe. Now, I know how this feels. If you are an aspirant watching this, this might be hurting. But it feels like an attack on your own hard work. You probably aren't sleeping. You definitely aren't partying. You truly are sacrificing. And now, experts are telling you that the ladder you are climbing might actually be leaning against the wrong wall. But you know what? The danger isn't about failing the exam. No, that's not the problem. The danger is succeeding at nothing else. We are seeing a brutal split. On one side, the stability chasers beating everything on government stamps. On the other, the skill builders, learning AI, hustling, pivoting. Sanyal is asking, why bet your life on a 20th century pipeline when the 21st century demands speed? Bureaucracy, as we know, runs on rules. The future runs on adaptability. And AI is coming for the process work first. Drafting, researching, filing, the very things that used to define stable office work. So does this mean you quit? No, not at all. The government needs bright minds. We need ethical leaders. But Sanyal's warning, let's pay heed to that as well. Don't let the exam become your identity. Don't let the preparation become your only skill. Because in an AI world, the only safety is your ability to learn something new tomorrow. UPSC isn't pointless. Please don't get us wrong. But blind devotion to it, that might be. This conversation is uncomfortable, we know. It shakes the drawing rooms of India. But we need to have it, and we need to have it again and again, because the dream of safety is expensive, and the price might be your relevance. This is Front Page by AIM Network. We don't just track the technology, we track the ambition behind it. And that is what we were trying to do tonight with this story. Of course, all we have to say, as always, is think AI, think India, think AIM. And of course, tune in Monday to Friday at 7 p.m. for our live broadcast of Front Page on AIM Network, India's definitive media organization and voice on everything AI. And say it with me, yes, you said it right, and technology. For tonight, it's time to say goodbye.